Do you love
automation and artificial intelligence?
Do you live
And breathe digital technology?
Do you have
Business savvy in your DNA? Nikki Gonzalez does. And she's a host of the Creators Lounge.
The Creators Lounge is proud to welcome Teamforce AI.
And welcome back to the Creators Lounge. Nikki Gonzalez here with Vivek Kumar, the founder of Teamforce AI. Welcome to the Creators Lounge, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Nikki.
How's your voice feeling? We did some karaoke last night, and I know I was trying to save it to make sure that we had voice left for this great discussion. I think you had a pretty good time, right?
I am alive. It was so much fun. Thank you to you and so many others for coming out, supporting us. Really just a memorable opportunity for people to bond and do some karaoke and have some good cocktails.
Yeah, and I don't want to make the conversation about that, but I do want to make the point that, you know, connecting and listening to each other and getting to know people in the work world a little bit more personally can have huge impacts on productivity, how people work, how long they stay at work, right? It's not just about the job you do, it's about the people you do it with and whether or not, you know, you feel heard and belonging in your workplace. So I feel like that ties into, you know, what we're talking about. So can you introduce yourself to the audience and, you know, tell us a little bit about Teamforce and what was it that made you want to devote your time, energy, expertise to, you know, building this thing?
Yeah, so I'm Vivek Kumar, co-founder and CEO of Teamforce AI, and we work with manufacturers to really help them create connection and increase listening and belonging with their frontline or production floor workforce. My personal passion behind this is that I've actually worked on the front line myself, and I know what it's like to be screamed at sometimes when something happens and it's not your fault, to have an innovative idea but not have a great opportunity to share it, to provide feedback for the company that could really be a benefit to the company, but worried about what may happen if I say something. And so it's a personal passion of mine, and then from a technology perspective, we've sort of flipped the dynamic on the head around most companies, how they think about dealing with their people and doing traditional surveys, and really not even always realizing there's benefits to allowing people to have a voice, this voice gap idea, increasing employee voice, which we can talk more about. So I'm just super excited to be able to do something I love, and that also, you know, helps out so many people who actually work in this industry and their companies as a whole as well.
Yeah, I think there's a huge need for this, and you're not alone in seeing that. My friend Ann Wyatt is a recruiter, and she works a lot with manufacturing companies, and she did a survey for one of her clients. They were having really bad turnover issues, and they wanted to know from all the people that had left, like, what was it really that drove you to leave? And it turns out that the number one thing was lack of communication, being able to tell their employer what really mattered to them. And it was generally never about the money. It was a very low percentage of people that actually left for better pay. So I think, you know, it hits a lot of pieces of the puzzle, this communication. And I'm just really excited too about technology being able to solve this, right? So obviously technology can't solve it in a vacuum without people wanting to actually engage their workforce. But I think in the past, like many things, we didn't have the tools to get too personal, too granular, right? We needed things to be one size fits all and easy, you know, kind of streamlined, because we didn't have the capacity to individualize things. So how does Teamforce really help employers that want to get more in touch with their employees do that without having to add a whole new HR department or a bunch of people to go, you know, be the carers or whatever, you know, function that would be if we didn't have this technology?
Yeah, you're really hitting on some good points. So we're here at a manufacturing technology show, the largest in the Western Hemisphere. But if you ask people, you know, what's the most important thing in your business? It's the people.
Yeah.
What's the number one challenge for many manufacturers? Finding, retaining, upskilling their people. So there's this big issue, and the way people have traditionally tried to solve it, as you were alluding to, is like it's wages. It's always wages, wages, wages. Now look, your wages have to be competitive. That is critical.
Yeah.
But once your wages are competitive, it's like, what else do you offer? You know, going from the 50th percentile to the 60th to 70th, it doesn't hurt, but it's not going to move the needle as much as saying and demonstrating you value your people.
Yeah.
Showing them they're valued by the manager, valued by the organization, those things you're alluding to. Now, how do you do that? It's sort of what you were asking about in a way that's scalable, that makes it feel personalized. The way we do that is we've got this tablet right here, and I'll just kind of hold this up.
Yeah,
for
hold
you
it up
see.
to the close-up camera there.
There we go. And we'll actually do a little demo together on it. So these are placed near time clocks, break rooms, and restrooms. And people go up as part of their flow in the day, and they answer one question. Just like you see here, there's a safety type question around a new piece of equipment. You can see a little toggle in the top left that allows for different languages. In the top right, a QR code where you can scan if you don't want to touch the screen. A suggestion box type opportunity in the bottom right to give feedback. But if someone goes up and answers a question, so if we go up and we press one of these, what it will do is actually show the correct answer, an explanation, and then how peers also answered. So you're just seeing a safety question here, but imagine we asked about community building. Who's going to win the big game? What should we do for the safety celebration? Imagine we asked questions. You talked about avoidable turnover.
Let's talk about those use cases in more depth right after a short break. All right, so if you want to hold that up for our camera to be able to capture and see what this looks like, this is really a simple tablet interface with multiple answer question right there. And this is something that I think, doesn't require any specialized training, any specialized hardware, right? How do companies go ahead and implement something like this? What does that look like for them?
Yeah, so usually these are set up in those three areas, near break rooms, time clocks, restrooms. Super easy setup. It's a one-time implementation, and then we work very closely with clients to really hit on the needs and opportunities they're looking for. So that could be things like reducing avoidable employee turnover. It could be things around decreasing safety incidents, increasing productivity, increasing innovation. And then we create targeted questions around solving those problems. So for example, trying to identify how do we reduce avoidable employee turnover? What do you think it might be, or do you want to have the workforce provide some of those ideas? Well, client might say, we think it might have to do with childcare, or transportation, or housing security, or something else, and allowing the workforce. Maybe the workforce says it's transportation. Then you can deep dive and say, okay, how are people getting to work currently? Are they driving directly? Are they doing a carpool, ride share, public transit, walking or biking? And as you start to get this data, you're collectively working with the workforce to solve a problem, because if you understand that many people are maybe driving to work, you might have addresses of theirs. Now you know that they're driving. Maybe there's a good opportunity for the company to set up a carpooling system that's structured. Maybe there's an opportunity to have a bus go pick up the people if they're in a high density area, and that's going to actually have a better ROI for the company. Even though there's a cost to set up that service, it's going to increase attendance rates. It's going to create opportunities to bond on the bus. So those are the kinds of things we do. There's a number of different other use cases, but it's not a traditional, I'm management, you're an employee, and I'm asking you questions on a survey. I'm working with you collectively to help make this better for all of us, and that's really what we strive to do by utilizing technology to do that.
What are some of the biggest cool solutions or ideas that you've seen your customers get out of this process once they start to get that ownership and engagement from their workforce? Do you have any you can share?
Yeah. We've seen things like, one of our favorites is around safety. So company was struggling to decrease the number of safety incidents they had, and they kept asking questions through the tablet, thinking maybe it's a lack of education around safety practices. Turned out that wasn't really the issue. The workforce, when you would kind of get to the root of it, was they were focused on meeting production goals. They were worried about being reprimanded. They didn't understand how safety affected them personally.
Yeah.
So the company asked the workforce to come up with some ideas. And one of the folks said, why don't we at the next company picnic film the children and spouses talking about how important it is that their daddy or mommy comes home each night.
Wow.
And they actually did this, and they didn't tell the people who were working in the factory.
Yeah.
So they did all these, they filmed all this, they played them the videos in the break room during lunch, and it was a mostly male environment where they started to tear up when they saw the people behind the people they knew at work saying, I love how my daddy makes me Superman or Superwoman. I love how he plays ball with me at night. I love how my husband comes home and tells me he loves me and kisses me, all this. And when they played these, people started tearing up, and what do you think happened to the number of safety incidents? It went dramatically down. And when you ask the workforce why, they'll say, it's not just I'm focused on hitting a metric or meeting some production goal. I now understand the people behind Nikki that are important to her, and if I spill that hazardous chemical, I'm going to do the right thing because there's something more meaningful that I'm connected to by doing the right thing. So it's motivating human behavior to get the right desired outcome for the organization in a way prior wasn't working that they were
That's
doing.
incredible. I don't think you would have ever been able to get that idea from management. And that is not, that required, I'm sure, very little investment. It wasn't changing the tools or procedures or investing in some huge new technology. It was about remembering, keeping it at the forefront of their minds, but with a personal tie-in, right? And that's such a huge point because people don't live to work. They work to live. And, as much as I think the old way oftentimes was thinking, well, your job is one thing and then you go home and that's a different life. We now live in this new world where work and personal is very integrated, and it's hard to separate them anymore. And so I think we embrace it, right? That actually results in more ownership in your role, more buy-in in your company. That is an incredible story. I think let's talk a little bit about how you can actually enable those insights from the data, because I'm sure collecting all this great information is amazing, but how do you figure out what exactly to do? So after a quick break, let's dive into a little bit more on the nuts and bolts and maybe some of the AI in Teamforce AI.
You are watching The Creators Lounge. Gain insights as our hosts talk to expert guests about key industry topics. Come see the action live on the trade show floor. Visit booth 338 600. See you at The Creators Lounge.
So Vivek, I know you didn't just put .ai in there to, be part of the hype, and I know there's a lot of hype around AI right now, and we all know, I think, if we're here, that AI and/or robots are not a magic bullet to solve our workforce problems, but it can certainly help. Can you walk us a little bit through what AI is doing in Teamforce and how it can help in this process?
Absolutely. So let's take this place, for example, about 100,000 people. If we set up these tablets around an environment like this, say these are all people working in the same company, that's a lot of, on average, 10 to 30% of the workforce responds every day, 50 to 100% per week. So that would be 10,000 to 30,000 responses a day.
Yeah.
Now, a little easier if it's a quantitative question. What if they're comments?
Yeah.
We don't want people spending their valuable time going through all these comments. And so AI can help in three ways. One is to actually analyze and synthesize all the commentary coming in and identifying trends. The second thing is to actually recommend solutions. Now, sometimes those solutions are helpful. Other times, humans are better at generating solutions directly or reviewing those solutions.
Yeah.
And the third thing is around content creation. So we were talking about the example earlier of identifying the issues around avoidable turnover. What kinds of questions do you ask? It's actually a lot of work to come up with content, as you know, as a creator. And so having AI help create those questions in parallel to constantly create that continuous improvement and culture of employee voice. So we really see AI as an enabler, as a co-pilot to help people solve more problems more than anything else. Not the scary Terminator-style AI that we sometimes hear about. We really think there's a great opportunity for people in the workplace, even with all the exciting automation and technology we see coming.
So AI is not going to come out of this app and say, I say you should do this, and then, right? So we need a human in the loop here somewhere, but we're helping to synthesize the information so that humans can not spend all of their time collating it and trying to work with the data, but they get to look at it, review it, and then make those decisions with their, human brain, having all their lived experience and context around what they're deciding what to do, right? What are your thoughts on the whole human in the loop concept, and where does, in those workflows, what part needs to be uniquely human versus what the AI can help provide?
Yeah, so we send out the content of the questions that are on the screen prior to them ever going up. It's super important for someone at the client side to say, I'm comfortable with what's on these screens, because the last thing we want is for us to ask about something that the employer just does not actually want to be asking about. And so that human really has to look at that. We have a cloud-based dashboard where people can look at the information anywhere in the world about their sites. The AI, again, can help in those aspects. But at the end of the day, this is about people. This solution is designed to help work better with people. And so even as technology, AI, automation, all those improvements occur, unless we have a world where no one is showing up at all anywhere, you're going to still want to know information about those people in there and have that connection. I'll give you another example. Say there's an issue around recognition.
Yeah.
Someone says, I make one mistake and I get yelled at and I do a million things right and I don't get any recognition. Well, the solution to that could be shout outs on the screen, but the solution could also be a manager getting up, walking the floor and saying thank you to 3 people, and it takes 5 minutes, and doing that's going to have a bigger effect for them.
Yeah.
Now, AI can help recommend a solution like that, but it still requires the human, the manager, to actually get up and go create that empathy and acknowledgement. And so that's sort of how we think about that dynamic, using technology to just create better environments and outcomes for everyone in these environments.
So cool. I don't think I, can say anything other than I recommend anybody that isn't using this should highly consider something like this. But then I think, okay, just anybody. But who is your kind of ideal client that you are, built this to solve their problems for? And if they heard this and they're like, yeah, this is something that we want, how do they move forward? How do they proceed? Get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to definitely get in touch with me and visit Teamforce AI, our website. That's teamforce.ai. And also, generally, we find the most success with companies and people leaders who care about their people.
Okay, yeah.
So are you someone, and that's why in our slides, we really talk about what's the most important thing in your organization. And if it's not your people, no matter what we show you, it's really hard for us to usually find alignment. But if you value your people and you really want to have voice and feedback and create continuous improvement, we are a great solution for those types of environments. And by the way, we work with all different types of leaders as long as they care about people. That includes operations, engineers, human resources, safety, manufacturing compliance, continuous improvement. It's really about working with people that want to create better environments and see it as a competitive advantage. So if you're here and you're exploring new technology in a way, you're probably thinking about some of those things. We're here to help with the human side of it all as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here in the Creators Lounge. I think I can probably speak for all of us, the rest of the creators as well. If we talk to leaders that care about people as well in here. So if you're in here, that's clearly a priority. And, the associations that run AMT, we care about the real content, the real people around this technology, because the technology is only here to make things better for us. So thank you so much, and we'll be right back with more interviews here in the Creators Lounge at IMTS on day 4.